Hello rock stars, Matt Vanderbo here. Hey, the one thing I get asked way more often than any other question in my professional career is how the heck did I get started in this music business? And the people that ask this all the time are primarily new composers or seasoned composers or songwriters who are trying to get into the TV sync space, but just don't know how to do it. And I do feel sympathetic towards them because there's really no roadmap on how to do this. There are no college classes, as far as I know, that teach this stuff. People really are just left to their own devices and to internet searches to try to figure out how to get started in the TV music world. And so people ask me this question, and I'm assuming it's because they want to know what my path was in hopes that they can emulate the moves that I made. Because it is much better to follow an existing path of success that someone else has gone down rather than just to be over here floundering on your own. So today I am going to tell you how I got from where I was to where I am. Now you may already be asking, well, who in the hell are you and where are you? So let me answer that question really quickly. My name is Matt Vanderbo and I have been a composer for TV shows for the past 15 or so years, and for the past 9-ish years it has been my full-time job. And during all these years, I've managed to rack up somewhere near 30,000 placements of my music on over 1,000 different TV shows. And I don't live in any musical hotbed. I live outside of Boise, Idaho, of all places. But prior to this life, I was a fresh college graduate. I just gotten a master's degree, and I was a rock and roll bass player, hard rock. Did a lot of headbanging back in the day. But when I got out of grad school, I decided I would join the workforce and kind of put my musical dreams and aspirations off to the side for a little bit while I became an adult. So I got a job as an advertising salesman for the local newspaper out here in Boise, Idaho called the Idaho Statesman. It was fun for a little while. The money was good, but it was not a job that I ever truly enjoyed. Every time I went into that office with my suit and tie and my fancy shoes, my matching belt and all the stuff, I just kept thinking about how much I did not want to do that the rest of my life, and how I have always been a musician and I just wanted to make music for a career. And it was at some point in my time at the Idaho Statesman that a friend of mine turned me on to a company that would go on to change my life beyond belief. So that's a little bit about who I am. Now let's get into the part where I go from how did I move from being a newspaper salesman and part-time bass guitar hard rocker to being a composer of instrumental cues for TV shows that just sits around his house all day, wearing only his underwear half the time and working whenever I feel like it. So like I said, a friend of mine introduced me to a company that would change my life, and that company is called Taxi. You can go to their website. It's www.taxi.com. And before we go any further into my thoughts on Taxi, I gotta tell you that I don't want people coming to my channel thinking that I'm a paid shill or on the payroll or part of some money-grubbing pyramid scheme, scam, or anything like that. So let me set the record straight right now. I am not an employee of Taxi. I have never been an employee of Taxi. I've never received any money from them at all. I've been a member of their organization for 16 years, and never once in that time have they paid me a single penny to do anything for them. They don't even know that I'm making this video, so this is not a paid testimonial. After all these years though, and after climbing through the ranks and becoming as successful as I have become, I do give back to that organization, and so I'm a speaker and a mentor at their annual music conference, and I've also been a guest a handful of times over the years on their weekly YouTube broadcast called Taxi TV. But that's as far as our business relationship go, okay? Taxi is in Calabasas, California. I am outside of Boise, Idaho. Okay, we're not even in the same state. We have no affiliation together other than I am a paid member and they are the organization that I am a member of. I'm just going to give you my unfettered feedback of this company, and I will tell you right now that this is going to be the most glowing and flattering testimonial that you've probably ever heard someone make about a company that they have to pay to be a part of. But the truth is, I owe everything to this company. My entire career. I wouldn't even have known that you could make a career out of producing music for television shows. I had no idea that was even a thing. Taxi is the company that brought my awareness to that possible career path. And not only did they make me aware of the field, but I also got all of the education that I needed by watching their weekly YouTube broadcasts and going to their annual conference and learning from all the materials that they have available to their members. So every piece of my musical success goes back to Taxi. Now let's talk about who they are, what they do, how they operate, etc., so that you can determine whether or not Taxi seems like a viable route forward for you. Again, this was my path, okay? So people ask me, how did I get to where I am? I got there through Taxi. Now, I am not recommending them because I'm just telling you my strategy. But I will say that if I found success through Taxi, then you can too, okay? There's nothing special about me. I'm honestly not very good at making music. I just learned enough through Taxi to be successful. So let's talk about Taxi. Taxi is a paid membership service. It costs $300 for your first year, and every subsequent year after that in which you renew your membership, the cost becomes $200 a year. So right out of the gates, a lot of people are going to be suspicious and leery and get their scam alerts, spider senses tingling, and they'll say,
well, how could you possibly charge money for access into the music business?
And my response to that is always, look, every business has startup costs. If you wanted to be a hot dog vendor and you wanted to sell hot dogs on the side of the road to all the drunks on a Friday night, then you would have to buy the hot dog cart and all the hot dogs and all the buns and all the condiments. You'd have to get your licenses. There are startup costs associated with every business in this planet. So $300 for a Taxi membership can be thought of as part of your startup costs. Now, what they do is they connect music industry needs with musicians, composers, or songwriters. Okay, so over here you've got people looking for music, and over here you've got the people making music, and what they do is they put those people in touch with each other. So that's their business model rolled into a nice little handsy diagram. So every day Taxi has new listings, is what they call them, listings, which is a specific need for music that you could submit your music to if you have something that fits those requirements. And I like to tell people that these industry listings are kind of like musical want ads that we used to see in the newspaper. Y'all remember the newspapers? Okay, so the want ads you would have people selling stuff, but you would also have people looking for things. And you might see a want ad that said,
I am looking for 200 12-inch by 12-inch white kitchen tiles.
And then if you saw that want ad and you had 200 12-inch by 12-inch white kitchen tiles, you would call that person and say, hey, I have exactly what you're looking for. And then you'd meet up, money would be exchanged. This was before Craigslist, by the way. So Taxi's industry listings are similar to want ads from the newspaper. A typical Taxi listing might be something like, a music library is looking for dramedy tracks that have a cute and mischievous feel to them. Or it could be something like, a new TV show about ghost hunting needs a bunch of new eerie, spooky, creepy, unsettling, atmospheric cues for their next season. Or it could be something like, established 40-year-old country superstar needs the last song on his album, and the superstar would love it to be about family. It's just basically, it's the type of music that is needed, and then what that music needs to sound like or what it needs to include. And then Taxi puts all that out to their membership base, and anyone in their membership base can submit music to that opportunity. Now, each submission that you send into Taxi costs you $5 per track. Now, this is another part where the ultra suspicious people in the world will be like,
Oh, scam alert, scam alert. How could you possibly charge $5?
well, the owner of Taxi has gone on record many times calling his $5 submission fee more of a discouragement fee than a submission fee. And what he means by that is not that he is trying to discourage your morale, but he's just trying to discourage you from sending in the wrong music. Can you imagine what would happen if there was no submission fee? All the thousands of Taxi members would just empty out their entire catalog of music into every listing, even if they made absolutely no sense for the context of the need, just because they're taking random pot shots and Hail Marys and saying,
Whatever, I guess it's probably close enough, and if it's not, whatever's not costing me anything to send it in.
I can't imagine what kind of nightmare and chaos that would cause on the poor Taxi screeners that have to listen to this stuff. So $5 is a discouragement fee, meaning that you're probably not going to send in the Hail Marys. I mean, you may occasionally send those in, but if you send too many of those wild haymakers in, it can have an impact on your bank account. So you might send in one or two for $5-10, but you're probably not going to empty out 20 tracks that are like,
Yeah, I don't know if this fits, but let's just try it anyways.
that's a $100 gamble that you'll probably lose on. So you submit your music for $5. At that point, it goes into the Taxi system and is listened to by what they call the screeners, which are the people on the headphones who listen to every submission in context with the listing to determine whether it is fitting enough to be forwarded along to the person asking for the music. Now you might be asking, well, who are these screeners? Now I'm telling you that you would absolutely be amazed and blown away if you knew the names of these screeners. It is a veritable who's who in the music industry. I mean, we are talking A-list pop stars, the best of the best of the highest ranks of pop stars you can imagine have been Taxi screeners. Not to mention music supervisors for massive Hollywood movie production studios, music library owners, bona fide rock stars. I'm telling you, the roster of Taxi screeners is amazingly talented and has credentials out the wazoo. These people are legit. They are the real deal. They're not just some random 18-year-old plucked off the street like on Elon Musk's Doge department. These people are actually qualified to do the work they are doing. So to reiterate this whole process, Taxi sends out these listings, and at any point in time, there's like 200 listings that are currently active. And if you've got music that fits the bill, you send it in for $5. The music goes over to the Taxi screener, who listens to every piece of music and gives you a critique on every piece. And then the ones that are most fitting for the need get sent along to the person who asked for the music. So that's the basic business model of Taxi. But on top of that, they have a wealth of educational material, which I took full advantage of when I was getting started. And they have a conference that is, I think, the best music conference in the world that is 100% free to all their members as well. So they're not just a company that is collecting $5 bills from everyone with a musical dream and running off into the sunset laughing like an evil genius. This company is actively trying to make everyone as successful as they can possibly be. Okay, so now if you've stuck with me so far, the next question is, do I recommend that you join Taxi? Well, I'm going to stop short of that because this is not a video about what I recommend you do. This is just a video about me sharing what I did to get to where I am. But again, I'm telling you that if I can do it through this path, then you can too. But should you go out and get a membership? I don't know. I actually don't care, to be perfectly honest. Your music career is what you want to make of it, okay? And if you don't want to go the Taxi route, that's fine. I just know what I did, so that's all I'm telling you about. But the last thing I want to say is that I just owe everything in my musical life to Taxi, and I will be forever indebted to them for all of the doors they have opened for me and for all the education I've gotten and all the deals that I've made and all the royalties that I've accrued over all these years. This house, the fact I can take my daughter to Disneyland or Universal Studios every summer, all these vacations, it's all because of Taxi. So huge thank you to Taxi, Michael Lasco, and everyone else on the Taxi staff for doing what you do and making dreams come true for guys like me. Now in the next video, I will give you strategies that you can use to help your success rate once you are a member of Taxi if you decide to go that route. So stay tuned for that. And now let's end on a joke. Why don't skeletons watch scary movies? They don't have the guts. Ooh, see ya.